cute.
I have just been wearing out a peace sign these days.
I just, in my last vlog, I closed
like
out and I was like, bye guys. And I was like,
back to 7th grade.
I'm so sorry about that.
Like, I can't stop.
I told Annika the same thing. She was coming in and I was like, I just did a peace sign. And she was like, I'm going to have to cancel you.
Welcome to Probably a Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to Probably a Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome. Oh my God, and now I'm doing these two where you like put it over your eye. Where you're like,
See, I'm doing the this way.
oh. Oh no.
That's what I said. When I said I'm doing the peace sign these days, I'm doing it this way.
No, I'm
and
doing
kinda,
like the like K-pop, like, like
yeah.
hi.
That is a little.
It's cute, but it's like it's giving 7th grade. Well, this is giving 7th grade where we inverted our wrists.
This is well. They say that Tumblr's coming back. Tumblr is making a comeback. The Tumblr aesthetic.
I was gonna say the vibe of Tumblr. You know, it's so funny. Okay, who was saying this? This is gonna drive me crazy. Oh my gosh, sorry. This is Jennica Thompson.
We have been talking for an hour and a half, so we're just continuing.
We're real life friends, so you know sometimes it's hard to like really get serious and be like introducing my next guest, Jennica Thompson, because I'm like, so fucking anyways, who was I fucking talking to the other day?
Hi, I'm Jennica. Listen, I have had my titties cut off. I had a baby before I even started high school, and I'm a YouTube superstar. What do you want to know?
And that's the intro that we all need. Okay. We're going to delve into every single one of those topics, but I did ask Jennica before she came on the show just to give a quick, I was like, you know, you'll probably just like intro yourself. So the fact that you came up with that is just, it's the most Jennica thing I've ever heard in my life.
It's almost like 2 truths and a lie, except for all 3 of them are true. So, you know, I could throw more in there. I've had 2 reconstructive knee surgeries. I have a chronic illness.
I'll tell you what my guests all have in common: ailments. Anna Grace, a woman of ailments. She's had to cut a lot of things out of her life because I guess, and maybe they come with age.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just gonna start breaking at the seams as well.
It's gonna happen. I hope that your tequila never stops flowing.
Thank you very much. It has flowed. My cuppeth runs a little bit over at times.
My cuppeth has to be put down every now and then.
Yeah, my cuppeth did it holds less tequila than it used to.
You just think that it's not going to be you when people say when you turn 30 like it's going to change, and I'm just like, I'm just never going to be that girl. And then I turned 30 and I was like, I love staying at home and folding laundry and lighting candles, and it's just like,
I said
what can
that
you do?
The other day. I literally was like, you get to a certain age and you really do just like change. You change, and it's not our fault.
Yeah.
But it is our fault that like when everyone told us it would happen, that we were like, okay, you guys are just fucking losers. You guys aren't me. I'm not you. So that's not going to happen to me.
And I did associate it with loser behavior.
And then it did.
Yeah.
I also associated
and
it
now
with loser behavior.
I'm a loser.
We're losers. We're not. I just actually said that's the meanest insult in the world. I call people on Reddit losers.
I love calling people, like, loser is my go-to insult.
We both talked about this. We said it's the meanest
just such
thing.
or dweeb.
A dweeb. I'm like, you're a fucking dweeb.
Yeah,
like that's a pretty, it's hits
loser.
heavy.
Loser does hit so hard.
Yeah.
Imagine like with eye contact, don't be a loser.
You're a loser.
Or loser behavior.
Yeah, you're exhibiting loser behavior.
Yes.
I forgot who it was that has a younger. Was it? It was not Annika. Jennica has a daughter, Annika, which we'll also get into. But I know. It was my sister's wife, Lauren. Lauren has younger sisters as well, and they keep calling her. They're like, "You're such a millennial."
Yeah.
And it's so funny because she was like, which is funny to me. She goes, "I posted a picture." She's like, "I was like at a coffee shop, and I posted like the notes I was writing because she's in med school."
Yeah.
She's like, "I posted the notes I was writing with like my coffee cup, and it was like a really styled, like pretty picture."
Yeah.
And you know how like
Throw a filter on it too.
Yeah, put a little cute grainy filter on it. And she was like, my sister was like, "You're classic millennial posting your coffee cup at your coffee shop." And I was like, first of all,
Yep.
What do you mean? And then she was like, their whole age is going back to the Tumblr. It's like, we don't care. We don't filter our photos. We post whatever. And I was like, first things first, we all had Facebook albums. My little girls.
But that was us first too.
We had Facebook albums. That was what we did.
Yeah.
We uploaded y'all's photo dumps. Don't hold a candle to your photo dumps are still curated
from the night before.
100 photos in an album where at least 50 of them we were doing the same thing.
Same thing. I was the girl in college with a digital camera like on my wrist.
Same.
And I took pictures of everything. I wish I would have videoed it because how fun would that be to like throw those in? But I took so scary. I took pictures of everything in college.
Yeah, we both did that. And so I just like, feel like my mother where it's like, you know, we wore flared pants and my mom's like, "Oh, those are coming back." And I was like, "You didn't do this." And then she shows me a picture of her in the 70s and I'm like, "You absolutely did that."
Well, I have seen though recently, because I like to keep Annika in check, because I'm like, listen, you are Gen Z, but you came from a millennial. So I have heard that all of Gen Z's like kind of styles that they cling on to are just recycled from everything else.
They're 90s,
Yeah. I'm like, that was my Libby Lou. You know? Like, girl.
100%. And the girls we were watching, the Christina Aguileras, they were our icons. And while we might not have been old enough at the time to convince our parents to let us buy the Christina Aguilera low rise, whatever, like that was still our generation. Yeah. So back off. Okay, we sound old as fuck. I'm not like
that actually is a millennial ick right there.
That's me being like our generation. Ew. Okay. Anyways. Okay. Couple things about Jennica. First things first. These notes are upside down, so I'm turning them right side up. Okay. So Jennica is one of my dearest friends, and people want to know how we met. So. How Jennica and I met was through kind of like Marissa. So Marissa and I did the same kind of conversation. And honestly, now that I think about it, kind of like every guest I've had from Nashville. Nashville is the smallest big city ever. Right.
It's a bunch of little circles that get together in big circles, and then you meet the other circles, you know.
All these little circles led me to you one day. I obviously knew who you were. I'm sure you knew
I definitely
of
knew
me
who,
or something.
I knew your shirts.
The
shirts that you made, because I was upset. I was like, that is my. I had one that said like, I know guac is extra. When
that wasn't
cool yet.
But I couldn't even fucking afford those.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
I made mine too.
Oh, you did? Me and Jennica were both broke bitches, and that we can attest to.
Making our own shirts.
We were broke as fuck. Okay, so anyways, we met one night. I remember specifically exactly how we met.
About.
We were at this rooftop like house party kind of.
Yeah.
I remember when I got there, I didn't really know everyone.
Yeah.
I don't remember who invited me, but whoever invited me kind of like then like trailed off and went and did something, and I was like, what the fuck? But anyways, I got to talking to you. You know me, I can talk to brick wall. So I walked up and I started talking to you, and I immediately thought you were just so personable, so fun, and was like, oh my gosh, she is so nice. And one of the things she said was, I think we were hot. It was Nashville. It was the summer.
I was hot for sure.
We were just hot.
I'm hot right now. I'm always hot.
We're always hot. And so I was like, oh, also things have really escalated since the last time I was on this podcast with the Band-Aid on my nail. That was yesterday, by the way. I know that you're listening to this a week later, but this happened yesterday. Like, what the fuck? So everyone just disregard. I am not going to fix these. I'm just going to take them off because I cannot be held responsible for having fake nails. Anyways, I remember she says something. She's like, oh, when I'm hot, like, you have to watch out. Like, I'm not a happy person when I'm hot.
It's truly like just smoke starts coming and horns. It's just, I'm not myself.
You're not yourself.
I like to warn people.
It's like the Snickers commercial. You're not yourself when you're hungry. We're like, Jennica, you're not yourself when you're hot. So she says this, and then she's like, oh my gosh, she's like, my daughter knows when I'm too hot. Like, if she sees me getting hot, she goes and gets me a glass of water. She maybe brings me a fan. She knows. I am, of course, then picturing, because this is what, 5 years ago?
Yeah, probably.
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm now picturing the cutest little, like, first of all, I didn't realize Jennica had a daughter. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that about Jennica. And then 2, I'm now picturing the cutest little 2 or 3 year old toddler, like, grabbing a glass of water for her mom.
In a sippy cup.
Like, just think it's hilarious that she can recognize that her mom's hot at that such a young age and, like, is bringing a fan or, like, fan blowing on her mom. And anyway, so Jennica says that. I'm like, that is hilarious. And then one of the next things she says is like, yeah, I mean, maybe it was something about middle school, or maybe it was something about her being 13 or something. And I was like,
oh, wait, what?
And my face is like this. I'm still having the conversation with her. I'm still talking to her because I already knew at this point as well that Jennica was is a year older than me.
Yeah, we're
just same age. And so I'm like talking to her and smiling, and Jennica looks at me, and I will never forget it. She looks at me and she goes, I love this part. And I said, huh? I kind of like snapped out of it. I was like, huh? And she goes, I love watching people do the math in their heads. I'm watching your wheels turn. And I was like, what? She goes, my daughter's 13. I had her when I was 13. And I was like, no, and she goes, no, I'm not offended. And
it's fine.
She's like, no. And I love that you just like broke it down to, you're like, no, listen, I'm not offended, but I see the math you're doing in your head. First of all, me also bad at math. So I probably was like,
Well, it truly is the first, I mean, I've been living it now for 16 years. It's the first thing that I've never not, even still now, people are like, oh, she must be, is she 16? Or when I say, yeah, she's 16, they're like, oh, 16 months. And I'm like,
yeah, dead.
Oh, she's actually 16 years.
16 years old.
Yeah. But it's either, you look too young to be a mom. And I just say, I am. Or I can start saying, wait, so how old are you? And I'll say, oh, I'm 30. And they'll go, and I just see the math.
And you're watching the math. It's like that meme where all the equations are like
exactly.
running around.
That's what was happening to you. And I was like, girl, let me just save it.
I got you. And so anyways, from that moment forward, I also loved because Jennica was, I'm also like, I was raised in a very like polite household. So like, I wasn't going to be like, oh my God, wait, tell me everything. But I definitely was like, oh my gosh, okay, that's fucking badass. I was like, so you had her when you, I mean, just started asking questions like, are you and the dad still together? Whatever. We must have talked for another hour after that. I left. I want to say I probably called like, I probably only had 3 friends at the time. I called like every single one of my friends, was like, do you know who I just like fucking love? Jennica. And they were like, I don't know her. And I was like, she's so badass. She's so this, like, I just, from that moment forward, the moment I met you, I just respected you to a degree that like, you just, and you're so welcoming too. You just really are so warm and kind. And just make everyone not feel stupid.
Well, I can also I immediately see what people think of my situation. And I can see when people are genuine and do want to know about me and Annika and what's going on. And that's when I give people, time of day. If you had been like, oh, well, then I wouldn't have continued the conversation with you.
I got you.
So you're personal too.
Well, so Jennica obviously is no longer. Are you still? You're a teen mom.
I say former teen mom, current hot mom.
Say it again.
Former teen mom, current hot mom.
Yes. And that's on that. Is that in your Instagram bio?
It is.
Yes. Okay. I'm like, I feel like that's familiar vaguely. Okay.
It used to be less judging, more dancing. And I was like, I feel like when people come to my page, they're like, who is this blonde girl she's always in these pictures with? Because Annika like is fully a child.
No, she looks like one of our friends.
Yeah, so I'm like,
well, and fuck all her generation that like does their makeup immaculately. Emma Chamberlain just set them up for success. And like they just can like literally do their winged eyeliner. And we like had the phase of like blue mascara and like crazy shit.
Absolutely.
So she does low key look like one of our friends.
She looks so much older. She just, so I'm like, and then our channel is Jennica and Annika. So I want people to know, are these best friends? Are these what's going on? I want it to be like these are mother-daughter.
Yes.
Know?
Okay, well, I like that. So Jennica gained massive popularity on YouTube because actually, well, let me tell you what this girl knows how to do. This girl knows how to go viral. She will call me sometimes middle of the night, or like I'll get a text at like for some odd hour during the day. It's like, I just had this idea for you. Yeah. And I'm like, okay.
The wheels are always turning.
And she just like tells me, she's like, I feel like it'll go viral if you XYZ. Like she's always just thinking of what to do to just produce fire content. So I remember as long as I've known you, you have told me you wanted to do YouTube. You used to work at a corporate job, and this is great because we love to talk about on probably podcasts. We love to talk about following your dreams. Yeah. If your dream is to work in corporate and climb that ladder, you're gonna fucking crush it, queen, and keep on fucking keeping on and do it, and you'll crush it. But if your job is corporate right now so you can make ends meet, this is a great opportunity to talk about it because Jennica was working a job so she could work towards her dream.
I mean, I truly had 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah.
As soon as I decided, like, because I did go to college, but I wasn't able to graduate. As soon as like those courses started getting harder, Annika started, she was in like 2nd and 3rd grade. And I just was like, I can't afford to continue being in college and raising a child. So I'm going to choose to start some sort of business career, you know? So I went in and I was an administrative assistant at a casket company.
Bitch. Hold on. I don't think I knew this.
Yeah, I like did payroll and stuff at a casket company.
Did you ever have to talk to the mourning families?
I didn't, but I had to take photos of every single casket we had to offer for a
Do you know
website.
A lot about caskets?
I do. Yeah.
What kind of casket do you want to be in?
I want to be cremated.
So do I.
I have too much FOMO to be buried in the ground one spot. I want to be taken with people.
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
I'm like, Annika, put me in a necklace and keep on keeping on.
I like that idea. Also, Taylor just randomly told me, she was like, Taylor like is freaked out by the idea of cremation. And I don't know if it's like a religious thing. I think she's just genuinely freaked out by it.
Well, with cremation, you rent the casket.
Ew.
You rent the casket and then you buy the like box, and then the box slides in, but it's really nice once and then they just send the casket to the next person.
I'm gonna tell you what.
Well, I just knew, and for a while, like really honestly, corporate was a goal of mine. I wanted to be a businesswoman. I knew that like marketing came the easiest to me, and like with me not having a college degree and so many people requiring that, it really ended up, I could find a job that had experience, like that required experience, and I had been working
in
since
admin.
19. Yeah,
I had in our generation too. And if I say that one more time, I'm just gonna literally chug this glass of wine and then like grab a hammer and just
like we're literally.
But like nowadays, kind of still works. Yeah. Uphills both ways through the snow. Yeah. You just don't have to go to college anymore.
No, and it was drilled into our whole our heads to go to like in order to be successful, you have to go to college.
Yeah.
And I absolutely
What was it
zero
like going
regrets.
to college? I had so obviously I did a Q&A before she came on. Everyone was so excited for you to come on. A lot of people did ask, so I'll reference the Q&A a bunch in this. A lot of people ask, what was your college life like with she wasn't a toddler anymore.
No. So when I graduated high school, she was 3, and the next month she turned 4. So I had pretty much a 4-year-old by the time I graduated high school, which I always say, like, starting college, was a very good student. Like, I'm all A's, was already taking college classes in high school. So like I never, ever had any issues. I just was a really, really good student. And I knew that my options were so limited with having Annika and still being full-time her mom. Like I didn't say, okay, mom, I mean, I feel like as teen moms, there's so many routes that you can take to be successful, and you really just have to take whatever that path was. Mine, I just knew I wanted Annika with me. I wanted Annika with me. And so I moved to the closest university. I still did want to go to the university because I knew I was a university. I just could do it. I knew I could.
You're smart.
So I got there
Academic.
and I got, my grandmother got us a 1-bedroom apartment, and she lived with us for a while too until we got settled. Yeah. But we had a 1-bedroom apartment, and it was so close. It was actually the apartment that my grandmother lived in when she went to the same college.
No.
Yes.
Cute.
Yes. And so it was old, outdated, very, very cheap, but like
I've seen pictures
because
of it.
it was so spacious.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was just as close to the campus as my friends that lived in dorms.
Yeah.
Like I would make it to my 8 a.m. just like
as quick as they did.
So I would literally leave in the morning, and I would stroll her to daycare. I would drop her off.
Stroller.
And then, I would stroll her, and then I'd leave her stroller there, and I'd walk to campus, and I'd do my classes, and I'd go back and get her and
iconic.
Come back.
Okay, so basically a million more questions about motherhood as a teen mom, but I want to talk about how you went. So as long as I've known Jennica, she's wanted to do, like I said, YouTube, and even when I met her, I didn't even. YouTube is such a different world. It is literally. I remember thinking like YouTube, like what about Instagram? Like you were tapping into YouTube before, like I feel like a lot of people were, and YouTube is a lot of work. When I post an ad, let's say on Instagram, you're watching me hold a product and talk about it for 45 seconds to a minute and a half. Okay. When Jennica does a YouTube video, or like when I do my stories, I post my videos, that's just like me recording myself throughout my day, whatever. I don't have to then edit it. I don't have to curate it. I don't have to do, like when I watch someone do YouTube, I'm like, this is fucking difficult. Like this is a lot of work. So you were working at Warby Parker and you were doing YouTube, right? You and Annika had a channel. Yes. And you were grinding, and she was posting for 2 years, right? And I would watch her take this footage on her phone or a pretty outdated camera.
Oh, the cameras were
And then you
atrocious.
would take the card out of the camera, you'd upload it. You didn't have a MacBook at the time. You had like a Dell computer.
Google Chromebook.
Google Chromebook that I think you got through work, right?
Yeah, through work, yeah.
So, but because of that, think about it, she didn't have AirDrop. And so I would watch her then email the files to herself.
Like, it was...
Drop the files to herself, download the files, put them in a folder, then upload them to a software that she could edit it in.
But I didn't have any of those softwares because none of them are available on.
And they're expensive.
Yeah, like Final Cut or anything like that is all on Macs.
MacBook. So then you would use like...
I used this... It was called WeVideo, and I paid $15 a month for it, and I thought, I can't afford this extra $15 a month bill, but I had to use it because I had to edit the videos.
Very impressive. And I just remember being like, God, this is so much fucking effort for YouTube. Like, is she even going to do YouTube? Like, she's really serious about doing YouTube, though. She really wants to do it. Q, 2 years into you guys having this channel, grinding your dicks off, just really fucking going for it. One day you have this idea, as your viral little brain does, to basically do a synopsis of you being a teen mom and your story of you and Annika, and you put it on TikTok. Yeah. Right? This is what happens when you have a young daughter. You just fucking know all the shit before everyone else. I was like, TikTok?
Yeah. So I knew that when I didn't want my like big viral, like, I did not think that it was going to be so crazy viral. I didn't want to tell my teen mom like birth story and it be the first video on my channel. You know what I mean? Like I knew that hopefully this would inspire people, or hopefully this would, because I've known for so long. I've talked to teen mom groups from forever. Like I just really know that this is what because it's hard to have someone to look up to when you feel like, oh my God, I just got pregnant at 14. What am I?
You think
my life is done. Yeah. I'm never going to be able to be successful. And I just know
Society
I want
tells
people
you
to see like that you can absolutely not only be successful, but be successful on your own with that child.
Yeah.
Like it's a team effort. And so I knew that and really starting out, we just had so much fun with it. Annika is a child of Jake Paul.
Okay.
Not necessarily.
I'm like, and if you're wondering about her dad, a lot of questions about Annika's dad.
I'm just kidding. No, but Annika is that YouTube era of like,
they watch YouTube instead of TV shows.
Oh my gosh, all my friends would used to be like, why is it that she watch Disney? And I'm like, because Disney episodes, you can't pick what you watch. Like even Netflix, you can binge the season and then you have to wait 6 months. With YouTube, these creators were putting out content every day. Nobody does that anymore.
No, true.
We all figured out that's not good for mental health. But like these people were posting every single day. Like
it was when the houses got big, like the Sway house.
Yes, I took Annika to an Erica Costello meet and greet. Like we stood in line for hours, and she just like, this is truly. So she always wanted to do it, and I was like, yeah, girl, okay. But then I love the camera.
But like I was gonna say, but here's the thing. Annika might have always wanted to do it because that's the world she grew up in, right?
Exactly.
But let us not forget.
So I was like,
you are a performer. You are.
Yeah. Wheels started turning, and I was like, okay, well, let's just start. Like we are fun. We're funny gals.
We are fun.
Like we are truly like. Every single person that meets us compares us immediately to the Gilmore Girls. They're like, this is such Gilmore Girls vibes. Like you, Lorelai, have no idea what's going on. You're always late. You have whatever. And Annika's like Harvard bound, got her stuff together. And so I was like, okay, well, let's just do that. Let's just show what's going on. And we really just had so much fun doing it. And then I fell in love with editing.
Yeah,
but I will admit that I went harder for YouTube. And a lot of people say, don't start doing this because of the money. But I went harder for YouTube because I knew that's where I could actually have a career. I knew that at that point, I just didn't have the Instagram like grasped. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I just didn't have.
They're such different things.
I wasn't an Instagram girl, you know?
Because you know why? I think you have so much depth, and I think a lot of Instagram girls. I'm not in this category, so I could do whatever I want.
She has a podcast.
I can do whatever I fucking want. Okay, but just to be fair, a lot of Instagram girls that crush it on Instagram are so curated, are so beautiful. They then, I could just rattle them off. They then try to go to YouTube.
Yeah.
And you can't look away because it's so bad, but you also don't watch it because it is so bad. I mean, it's just, they don't have any depth. Or they're just like, hey guys, and you're like, oh, no, baby, stick to YouTube, stick to Instagram.
Well, the editing is such a big part of it too. It's like, that's not you don't get to splice things together like that on any other platform. I mean, obviously now TikTok came and changed everything.
But not really, because
it's not the stories that you get that.
Yours are 30 minutes long. Yeah. Even TikTok will never be a platform that things are 30 minutes long.
Well, even because I didn't watch YouTube until Annika started, and then of course when Annika started, I started just to keep up with what she was doing, watching, of course. And then I was like, wait, well, there's girls my age. Let me watch this makeup tutorial.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just started watching these girls, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I can do this. Like I know without a shadow of a doubt I can do this. And the way that life was going, I was a single mom for my whole life, and I had never made more than $19,000 to $28,000 a year. And I was fully had a family.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I just have to get a second job, and I couldn't do waitressing. There was a lot of restrictions because I still, when my job clocked out, I had to clock in as a mom and get her everywhere. And we don't have any family here. So like I'm her transportation. So I was like, if I can just do maybe some YouTube, if I can make $200 a month.
I'll never forget. You were sitting in my apartment. It was back when I lived at the Morris, and you were like talking about YouTube, and I was watching you edit a video or do something. I was like, God, it's just so much work though. And you go, yeah, but look, I made, and it was something,
I mean, I literally, it was
I don't want to shy at any sort of money. Any money is great money, but it was something for the amount of work you were doing. I was like, you just made $120 though. And you were like, Shannon, you don't know what that does for me. If I can make, doing something that me and my daughter have fun doing, if I can make $120 extra a week, a month, that's really important. Like that's really important to me. And I was like, okay, I see that.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget, I get this call that you had made a TikTok. And because at this time, your platform, your YouTube, 700
subscribers.
That's what I was going to ask. Okay.
700 subscribers.
You make a TikTok. Again, I still wasn't really aware of TikTok. I think I was like calling. There was a time, shouts out to Jennica, there was a time where I was calling her all the time. I feel like she was probably so annoyed.
No, never.
Because I literally would be like, hey, I have a question about TikTok. And she'd be like, yeah, what's up? And I'd be like, how do you like put the music on it? And she'd be like,
so
okay.
if you watched the 2020 TikTok of Shannon, Annika probably edited it.
Annika edited it. Okay. So anyways, I remember I get this call and you're like, I just posted basically like my story, like a spliced together version of like one of my YouTube videos, but she already had all these, like, think about it. She already had a YouTube channel with a ton of videos.
For 2 years. Yeah.
For 2 years. So Q, tell the story about the TikTok. that went viral?
I felt like we finally had enough content on our channel. And honestly, it really had to do with the pandemic. Before the pandemic, I was leaving my house every single morning at 6:30, taking Annika to school, commuting to downtown Nashville, which would vary anywhere from normally, like right now, it took me 20 minutes to get here today.
Yeah.
But in rush hour traffic, it took me like 2 hours, an hour and a half. And so then I would work an 8-hour day, commute back in that traffic, get Annika, take her to dance, take her this, cook dinner. And then I was exhausted.
Yes.
And so during the and we were posting probably like one video every 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Just very not consistent because I couldn't. And then I was like, well, I've got all this time now. Let's just sit down and let's finally record this video. I'm going to make it fun. That's when like all the like pop-ins, like now I can't even watch that video, but it changed my life and I love it forever. Really? But it is so cringe.
Is it? I have to go back and watch it.
Please don't. None of y'all. I'm just kidding.
Watch it.
It really is. I mean, it's just, it was how you edited at the time.
Okay.
And I also, maybe not. I was just literally so new. Whatever, regardless.
Is it the one on TikTok?
Yeah, so I was like, it just wasn't. Annika found one of her favorite YouTubers this way. And I was like, man, these kids really know what they're doing. So I know that it's easier to get like people to view things on TikTok because it gets put out to anybody and everybody.
And it's quick. It's like fast paced. You don't have to watch a 30-minute video. You can watch it quicker.
And so I was like, I'm going to take this 30-minute video and I'm going to bring down all the like funniest moments and I'm going to put it on TikTok. It was on 60 seconds and I was like, I'm just going to see.
So you didn't even recreate a new video. Sorry, you just took
the screen recording.
Your screen recording of the Teen Mom video. Like explanation video, Q&A, and you made it into a TikTok.
Yes.
Got it.
Still form. And I said like full story on my YouTube channel, post, went to bed, woke up the next morning and it had like 3 million views. And
I have chills.
I
love it.
I mean, I
like, actually have chills.
But it's like, okay, 3 million people can watch this TikTok, but are 2 people going to go and click on your profile and then click on the YouTube video, and then, actually watch the video. And then once YouTube's algorithm, because the only algorithm that knows what they're doing is TikTok, okay?
Yeah.
The YouTube algorithm said, why are all these people coming from this other platform to watch this video? And this video is 30 minutes. Like we should be, because they love long videos too.
Yeah.
We should be pushing this. At that point, I did not even have enough subscribers or watch hours on YouTube to make money, to monetize it all. So my first 1.5 million video views on that video, $0.
No.
And now it has like almost 12 million.
As it should.
Isn't that crazy?
Okay, so she goes viral, and then she, which by the way, you can go viral, but like for me, like I could be on a TV show all the time. People are like, how'd you, become an influencer? And I always credit Very Cavalry, of course, because like it was a massive platform for me. This TikTok video that went viral was a massive platform and stepping stone for you. However, you then have to fucking grind. You're like, oh shit, now I have an audience. I have to do stuff. Like being on Very Cavalry was wonderful, but it's not the reason I am who I am now.
Right. Totally.
Okay. Like I just like, I will always give it credit, but like I then like worked and grind and like did everything like, whatever. So all that being said, you then, I remember, went balls to the wall over
I was like,
like,
this is
my
I'm not going to
moment.
get this chance again.
Yeah. And fast forward to now when you are literally just a highly successful YouTuber and Instagram influencer and TikToker and like all of the things. And I personally, and I know I'm biased because I'm genuinely like a very close friend of yours, but I've watched it from start to finish and I'm just so immensely proud of you. And to watch you grind, I will say, and I mean this, I'm not just saying this because you're sitting in the chair beside me, I don't have another friend who works like as like passionately hard as you through so many obstacles. I don't have another friend who's had to go through as many obstacles as you do and just grinds through them, doesn't complain, doesn't say, well, I can't get this because this happened to me, You truly, you're like, it's time to keep moving. And I don't know if that's the mom in you.
I was just about to say, maybe it's because it's like, I knew that, I mean, I was 2 years away from having to buy Annika a car and I was still driving a car that my mom bought for me. Like I had no savings account because I didn't have money to save. Like I had been, pinching pennies my entire, everything that I made went to Annika or, groceries for us to live, So I think that it was like kind of provided me with a no option. Like if you want to, you don't, because for a while I was like, I'll just marry rich, and then I was like, I don't want to do that.
Do we want to marry rich?
Do I want to be live with a boy?
We're like, and Mom, I am a rich man.
I was like, yeah, I'm just going to have to do this my own. And with me, like, it really makes you think, like, am I going to be successful without a college degree? But there's so many things you can do.
There's so many things you do.
So many things you can do.
If anyone asks me about you ever, the number one thing I say is I'm like, you spend fucking 2 days with this girl and you will walk away and think you can do anything if you put your mind to it.
Yeah, if I wouldn't have made it on YouTube, I would have already been to the next team. I would have like tried to be a business owner on Etsy or something. I mean, I would have done something else.
You would have done something else. 100%.
But this is absolutely like truly has become such a passion of mine and Annica's now.
Yeah. Okay, so because you made this TikTok and so you already know how to splice and dice and make things a very short, generalized statement. And we're not going to give you too much because you go to her YouTube and watch the video that has 12 million views. Flex. Give me the TikTok version of your pregnancy story.
Okay.
Your teen mom story.
So the story that I told was the story of me delivering, like the night that I gave birth to Annica. And so it was a very traumatic experience. I think most moms would agree that the day that you give birth is a little wild. It is Father's Day, my sister's birthday, and my granddad's birthday was in 3 days. So we had a big family get together on a Sunday night in the middle of summer, you know? And my mom had these little mini cupcakes, and I ate so many cupcakes. And she kept going back in there and being like, if you eat one more cupcake, like, you're going to be in trouble. Of course, I wake
I'm
up
dead
in the
that
middle.
your mom said that to you and I was like, why would your mom say that? Because you're 13.
Yeah, because I'm 13 and I get in trouble for eating cupcakes. Meanwhile, I'm like,
if you eat one more cupcake, you're going to be in trouble. Okay.
So at 3 a.m., I wake up and I'm like, something feels weird.
Ate
Should
too
have
many
stopped eating the cupcakes. Yeah, so I go upstairs, use the bathroom, nothing happens. Come back downstairs, like get back snuggled, and I'm like, that's weird that was like 4 minutes from that other weird feeling. And I immediately knew. I immediately knew. So I went upstairs and got my mom. My mom does work at the hospital that I was going to be giving birth at. So she already had the suitcases packed. She had the plan. My sister was going to go with us because she was 11 and she was never going to touch a boy. My grandmother was going to go with us so that my mom didn't have to leave me when she had to go check me in the nurse. So we had a whole entourage. And we get there to pick up my gran. My gran has no shirt on when she gets in my car. That was wild. We finally get her a shirt.
Love that.
We get her inside. We get to the
is that
hospital.
Why you call her shirt? What do you call
Topless
her? Topless grand.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I never knew that.
We get to, my mom's like so excited at 3 a.m. I'm in labor about using caution lights. I'm like, we live in a town with 3 people and it's 3 a.m. Like no one is going to be on these roads, Mom, at all. And she's like, caution lights, caution. She's singing. And I'm like, also, I had gotten out of the front seat and gotten to the back seat because my grandmother was obviously still, again, 13.
So you're like,
grandmother's
grandma's got to sit up front.
So we get there.
I'm dead.
We walk in.
Grandma's got to sit up front. You're in labor.
Oh, I'm in labor. And I'm like, come on, Gran, get in there. Where's your shirt? Come on. She was like, I knew where everything was, but I couldn't find anything. And I'm like, okay, let's just get to the hospital. We walk in. It's my best friend's mom.
No.
That's about to have to put her fingers somewhere. And I'm like, you have made me Sunday dinners.
You have made me PB&Js.
You have held me when I've cried. Like,
see how far along I'm, because you guys know, not circumcised, how far along you're
so
dilated.
She has to check me. So I'm like, okay, my best friend's mom's about to put her fingers. Anyway.
Maybe comforting.
Yeah, so I literally it's a crazy, crazy story. And it gets even crazier. And I've told the story a million times and people just kept saying, like, you need to film you saying this so that you can put it on. But it's a wild story.
So
that's pretty much.
But okay, so in the one that went viral, you didn't just talk about how because I think it's crazy that you didn't know you were pregnant for so long. That was a rumor at school.
That is part of the story too. I did not know that I was pregnant until I was 6 months. I had my period.
School because you were still having your period, right?
I was still having my period. I kind of you can't have a period when you're pregnant, but my body was 14. My body was 13. I genuinely did not think that this was a possibility for myself. I was definitely having sex. But I just, I'm a child. I didn't think that was the consequence. I like to explain it when your parents tells you not to eat chocolate and not to sneak out, you're like, okay, those are two things. Obviously one's worse than the other, but is anything really going to happen if I sneak out?
Right.
I'm going to get grounded, whatever. And so it's not just like that, but my brain just didn't understand the consequences of it. And I was really just raised on purity culture, abstinence only. So we just didn't have
any education on it.
And I didn't, and whatever. I was like, there's other couples that are doing it. It's not, there's no harm,
Right.
We're not doing this to be bad kids or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, so I had no idea that my body did not know to process that I was pregnant. Yeah. I just kept kind of spotting.
You weren't looking for signs.
No, I didn't gain any weight.
She literally didn't. It's crazy when you see the photo.
My boobs really kind of, but I was also a 13, 14-year-old girl. I was going through puberty. And my sister heard a rumor at school. And she was like, that's the craziest thing. Obviously, my sister, only moms can be pregnant.
Yeah, because your sister's 11.
Yeah. So my sister comes home and she's like, Mom, how hilarious is this? Someone today on the bus told me that Jennica was pregnant. And my mom was like, okay. And at that time, I had had a boyfriend for like a year. And for that, when you're in
that
8th
young,
grade,
that's a long time.
That is, you know, y'all are going to get married and whatever. Like that just.
Yeah.
So my mom was just like, I think she just wanted for her own peace of mind to like, she asked me first and I was like, well, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard, Mom. Obviously, I've not had sex. And so she was like, okay, we'll just take this pregnancy test. And I was like, perfect, cool. I was not
She's
sweating.
like, I'm for it. I'll take it.
I was like, to get you to get off my back.
Of course I'll take it.
I'll take this test. And yeah, about 5 minutes later, I hear this blood curdling. Jennica! And I was just like, that is so crazy. This test is wrong.
So weird. This test is wrong.
This is so crazy that this test is wrong. And so she comes, I mean, she's frantic. And I'm like, Mom, I'm still calm. I'm like, Mom, I'm literally not pregnant. Like, this is, because I was a all-A student, like in student council. I was best cheerleader, whatever. You know, it wasn't going to happen to me, you know? And so she calls my stepdad. She's like, you better get home and like bring a pregnancy test on your way. And he's like, you just got your tubes tied, because my brother is 4. My brother has just turned 5. Okay. And he thinks it's for him. You just got and your she's like, get home. And so I take another one and I'm like, what are the chances that 2 are
these things are faulty?
These are crazy. And so they both sit me down and my mom's like, have you had sex before? And I'm like, no. This is crazy. And she's like, Jennica, have you had sex? So she's still on that. My stepdad's like, Art, he's like, Carrie, I don't think she's married here. Okay. So like, look, she's had sex. We need to move on. When's the last time you had sex? And I was like, I just never had. Maybe, Mom, maybe some got on his fingers.
Some got on his fingers.
And then maybe when he fingered, she was like, he's fingered you.
Oh no.
And I was like, well, now I really can't tell her I've had sex. She's like, so I'm like,
I cannot tell her.
My mom takes off across the road to my pediatric doctor that I'm currently seeing because I'm 13. A child. At this point, no, I had turned 14. So I got pregnant apparently somewhere in October.
Okay.
Maybe September. I found out in March. February or March. And I turned 14 in January. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was 14. But technically, I did get pregnant at 13. Anyway, there's some math for you.
You know, it's funny because when she posts pictures of her in the hospital having Annika,
I have hot pink nails.
She literally looks like a 13-year-old teeny bopper. And it's funny because you have always said, if this photo makes you uncomfortable, it's because it should. Yeah. Like, this should make you feel uncomfortable.
Yes. Yeah, so where was I at?
She goes across the street, gets your doctor.
Yeah, she goes across the street, gets my pediatric doctor. He's like, Carrie, it might be a pregnancy in the tubal. And I'm like, you guys aren't understanding that I've just like never had sex. And they're like, no, nobody's talking to me anymore. It's the adults talking. Yeah. And I'm not one of those people.
They're like, no.
I'm on my living room floor and my doctor's like pressing and he's like, I can see the faces he's making. And I didn't know until probably like a year and a half ago, that what I did was disassociate completely. That moment, I like don't remember. It felt like I was watching a movie of that whole night, and I can remember it vividly. But in that moment, I just had no idea what was going on. I mean, I could hear. I mean, even once we got to, because my mom did work at the hospital, she called one of her friends, and she was like, "Family emergency! Like, please meet me at the hospital." The doctor wrote an order for the ultrasound, and we went right then.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, my stepdad went and got my boyfriend at the times and his family. We all met at the hospital and they're asking questions. My mom's telling her when my last period was, and it was, you know, very recently. She's like, okay, I bought tampons then. And they put the ultrasound, like whatever the sonogram thing on my stomach, and it wasn't, I know a lot of people are like, it was the heartbeat, that like I still was totally like out of it. And then when she said I was 5.5 to 6 months, and that we would be able to find the gender out right then. Yeah. And my mom and her dad's dad at the same time, he said no and she said yes. And my mom was like, we have 3 months.
The question was, do you want to know what the gender is?
Yes.
And the dad said no.
Yeah. And she was like, we have 3 months to prepare for a baby.
Also, one of my favorite stories too that you've told me before is that you're like, just imagine. I'm like, I've never had sex. I'm not pregnant.
Yeah.
And then she's like, Shannon, when they put the ultrasound, the sonogram.
Oh, Annika was like,
yeah. She said that Annika was like, what up, dog?
You've been doing back handsprings, girl. You've been going to the tanning bed.
Yeah.
You have been.
She's been going to the tanning bed still. I mean, think of the time. Think
this
about
is
our generation.
This is when I was going to the tanning bed 7 days a week.
I created this whole scheme because, the tanning bed laws were 24 hours. When I went to the tanning bed back in middle school, high school, I signed up to 2 different tanning salons, which is this pretty fucked up mom who doesn't listen to this podcast. She had to sign it because I was under 18. She thought I was so crafty and savvy to think of this. I did 2 different ones.
Double dip is what we called it.
Sometimes they would say you're within the 24-hour period, you can't come. So I had 2 so I could double dip in them.
I had a fully developed fetus.
She literally she's like, Shannon, it was just a full ass baby.
I mean, Annika literally was like, hello.
I
Finally,
was wondering,
I'm tired of doing back handsprings, Mom. Stop trying to do a stand and tuck.
Yeah, because you were really cheerleading.
Yeah. I mean, I was a bae, so I was catching girls here.
Oh my gosh.
I ate literally anything, which I was a picky eater. So who knows? Thank God. I mean, I didn't.
Yeah, but just all the things.
Yeah.
It's just nuts.
Yeah, and so they said it's a girl, and that literally was the moment that I felt air back in my. It just that was the moment that I knew it was gonna be okay.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. It was.
I mean, that's
obviously not. I didn't. I was like, oh, this is gonna be fine. Not like that gonna be okay, but it was okay. Well, this is now my reality, and this is how we have to proceed.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I really do want you guys to check out her YouTube because it's something that cannot be summed up in this podcast, and I think you guys would learn a lot from it, and I also just think you guys would fall in love with her and Annika the same way
but if you watch that old video, then you have to watch 3 of my new ones.
You have to watch
to see how things have gotten better.
That one, you have to watch the new ones. But I mean, I want you guys to go. You've done a lot more videos about your pregnancy.
Yes,
and
I did a whole series. I do series. Annika answers questions with me.
Yes.
She talks about what it's like to have a teen mom.
All that being said, I could ask you 100 more questions, but I kind of I want to just
I'm not just a teen mom, you guys.
You guys, she's not just a teen mom. She's a fucking badass.
I have so many elements.
She got her tits cut off. Let's talk about that.
I did. I've also seen your mom's tits. But it was so helpful.
It was helpful.
It was so helpful.
Here's the thing. My mom's had a breast reduction. I did not get any of those genes. My sister also has massive boobs, and I just don't. So anyways, my mom, when you told me, which I have always, you've had boobs that were just I really just now that
that's all you can. It was 2 basketballs.
I was gonna try to be nice, but they were basketballs, and I'm not kidding. She would just pick, she would just
you couldn't even
pick them up.
It would be all 4 of our hands.
It was sad. It was sad because here's the thing.
It hurt.
I knew they hurt you, and then I felt so bad for you because you just had so much more life to live.
I was like, I can't be backpacking around Europe
you
with a backpack here
on FaceTime with me, and if you were laying down, they would just be
choking.
And I'd be like, Jennica, you'd be like, what am I supposed to fucking do?
There would be sometimes that I would be fully asleep at night, and I would wake up because my tits were asphyxiating me. I was like, I can't live like this. Do you know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean, but I know because I was there.
Yeah.
Mine have never in my life asphyxiated me.
If you've ever seen Shannon speechless, it was when I showed her the tits for the first time. She was just like, that can't be good for your back.
I was just you have somehow also managed to hide the largeness of them. And she was like, Shannon, because I will say this, and everybody is beautiful.
I'm exhausted thinking about
it.
And
it is, it's expensive, it's taxing, and it's a really intense surgery. So I don't want to say that breasts that large are ugly. I'm just saying you look so much better with smaller breasts.
It really, really physically hurt. And I'd wanted a breast reduction since I was 18, and I had gotten denied 3 times by insurance.
And it is expensive.
It's very expensive, but and of course, that's the only way that I could have ever gotten one.
Well, and here's the thing too. My mom told me this because my mom had a breast reduction, and she told me that basically she was like, it's hard too because if you want to get a breast reduction, they tell you what your boobs have to go down to. She's like, for instance, my mom had breasts, but because the insurance company picked her sizing for her.
Yeah. So it comes down to either the insurance company makes you remove a certain amount, or the doctor's like, I'm gonna do what I think is best for
right,
you.
Right.
Which thankfully that's what I ended up being able to do.
Good.
But after I was denied 3 times, and it started when we were working from home.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I've always had a desk job. And so I didn't realize, but once you're at home working a desk job, you don't get up and walk around downtown Nashville as much as you were on your lunch breaks and stuff. So I called my mom one day sobbing, and I was like, my neck, back, shoulders, my head hurts from just holding these huge things on my body all day long. I have to do something. And so mom was like, okay, well, and I had started making just a little bit from YouTube at that point. And she was like, I think we're at the point where if you get denied again, we'll just do it. And I was like, you know what? I think we're going to have to. So she talked to her friends, found a doctor, and it was so painful.
It's one of the most painful surgeries, you guys. Like, it's not.
It hurts.
I obviously have tons of friends who've had boob jobs. I have it when I say if you think a breast reduction is the same thing as a boob job, you are just so sorely mistaken.
No.
Like, I was watching these bandages. I won't get too graphic here, but like again, I'm sure there's a YouTube video discussing it.
Yeah, I did a whole video.
Go watch it, because like that was just fucking crazy. But yeah, in conclusion, I think my mom wanted to show Jennica her breasts.
The scar. No, she was.
The scar.
I was worried about, and she was like, mine are gone. I mean, mine are
my mom
gone.
doesn't have a scar.
Yeah, mine are literally. It's been a year and. Maybe it's just been right at a year. No, it's been like a year and 3 months. And I have pretty much no scars.
My mom was like, no, look, you really don't have a scar. Look. My mom,
and I was like, oh my God, you don't. And she was like, Mom.
And I was like, Mom. My mom also had breast cancer. She's a badass survivor from breast cancer. So it's funny too, because she's like, well, I do have this scar. I'm like, Mom, your titties are just, they've been through the ringer. Okay. And it's so funny. I love her so pure with my mom and my dad, because like one, obviously she had breast cancer. A lot of women opt to like get reconstructive surgery done, like a boob job or something after. And she's like, why would I do that? Your dad likes my boobs. Cause she had like a lumpectomy. So she has like almost like a shark bite little mark in her. And she's like, your dad still thinks I'm hot. I'm fine. And I was like, oh.
She's like, I'm here to please one man.
Goals. Goals, baby. Okay, so that was like a very trying time recently, but I'm glad that you got through it.
I would do it 100 times, even with the pain, the scars. You also I don't even care
incredible.
About. Yeah, I just it really did like.
Do you have ever worn a top like that? A corset top?
No. I would buy these corset tops though, and I would just pin them in the back with like pins
and string
and a rubber band for like your hair, and then another pin, because I was like, my boobs just don't fit anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question on the questionnaire was, which I think someone said, what do you admire most about Jennica as a parent? Okay, so.
Oh my God, don't make me cry, seriously.
No, I won't. Well, here's what I do. I admire, because I do think it's so hard to not be so close to your daughter. You and Annika are obviously more like very, very close as like best friends.
Yeah.
But like, it's hard not to be when you're that close in age.
Right.
How could you not be? Like,
we do get a lot of flack for that. And I'm like, we're together all the like.
Well, not only that, you're literally closer in age to Annika than you are to like. No, we're like, no. Of course they're close. You straddle the line so beautifully. I have watched you over the years discipline her when she needs to be disciplined. I've watched you tell her no. I've watched her have, I won't call them tantrums, Annika, because I know you're listening. I love you. But like, I've watched her be a 13-year-old girl, right? When I knew her when she was 12 and 13. And you really do such a good job at being her parent, because I do think, like you said you get a lot of flack for it. I think a lot of people might think teen moms, they don't know how to like straddle that line. Right. And you just do it so beautifully. I really like commend you and your mom, who Carrie, shouts out Carrie, we love Carrie, she's amazing. I think she did such a fabulous job in raising you, and I think that really trickled down, and you just are wonderful in that aspect. I will say this, I know every ins and outs of everything to do with your whole life and Annika and co-parenting, etc. I have never witnessed one time in my entire life you say anything negative or anything bad at all about her father, especially to her. I should preface, I've never heard you are so Switzerland, it's almost jarring.
It's too Switzerland. Sometimes
I'm like, you should say something. You should say something. And I'm like, she's like, no, because this is not it is for her.
Yeah, it's not my battle to fight.
I have so many friends who are children of divorce, right? As we all do. Anyone listening to this podcast may have parents who are divorced, or they definitely have friends whose parents are divorced, right? I watched growing up, as I'm sure we all did, parents pin their children against them, right? Okay? Just really brutal stuff. And it is not healthy. It is not helpful. It is awful for the child.
Yeah.
And these are grown ass, I know we're grown ass adults. Obviously we're like 30, but like, I mean, these are like people in their 40s and 50s at the time doing this, right? Who know better, who have not been through the stuff you've been through. And you still, as long as I've known you, you have always been so respectful towards this situation with their father. And I just like, I don't even want to call it a situation, just co-parenting. Like you guys aren't together, which one of the questions was obviously really funny. It was like, what's it like keeping in contact with your 8th grade boyfriend? And I just cackled so hard. And I said, I can't wait to ask producer Courtney, like, what would you do if you still had to talk to your 8th grade boyfriend every day? Not every day, but like all the time. Just what's it like keeping in contact with your 8th grade boyfriend?
Well, let's just all pause really quick. If you're watching this, if you're listening, let's just pause.
Take a moment.
Don't close your eyes if you're driving. Let's imagine life with a child with your 8th grade boyfriend.
I can't remember. Okay, I was ugly. No one dated me in 8th grade. And okay, the guy I dated in 10th grade. I mean, just like 8th grade. You're passing notes. You're,
you know, and we didn't even go to the same school. So we didn't even really know each, you know, like we went to the ball games on Friday nights or whatever and whatever. And I think that over the years, I've just known that my parents were never together. They were always just such good friends. And even though I would call my dad, you know, cussing about my mom, or call my mom, you know, complain about, they never, ever, ever let me talk about the other parent negatively.
They were like, stop.
My
or
dad
your mom
would be
does a lot
like,
for you.
I'm going to pretend like I'm getting on to you. I'm not really. But if you talk about your mom like that again, like, we're going to have a problem. Don't do that. Like, she's doing her best and you need to be there for her. Like, and I'm like, you know, and I never saw them like fight. I never saw them. And it's really just because they didn't, you know, they genuinely just had a good friendship relationship. And everybody figures out things about their parents as you grow up. And I just knew that there was never going to be anything that I could tell Annika about her father that she wouldn't figure out one day by herself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And there were times where I immaturely was like, would you ever like say you should tell Annika? And you're like a situation maybe that wasn't so easy for you.
And I'm just like, it's not even worth it. Because then like she's going to be like, why is my mom telling me this about my dad? Like it just never felt good. And even the times that like I would, you know, glaze over a situation, it just didn't feel good. Like I'm like, at the end of the day, like I have nothing to do with this man. This is her father. So like, I'm not going to be saying anything bad. She can figure out.
Well, you said earlier when we were talking about writing notes down for the podcast, you go, I don't know that man. You said, I don't know that man.
I mean, we don't have conversation. We will, I try to personally keep everything in text.
Yeah.
You know, and so I just we'll text back and forth, and I don't know.
Yeah. You're like, I don't know that man. It's like, what would I say about him? I don't know that man.
Literally. So I'm like, okay, we're fine. We're just, you know, co-parenting though is truly the hardest thing ever. So much that I will never do it again. Yeah. I mean, ever. I would absolutely, like, I am not even going to have another child probably just because it could risk co-parenting. Yeah. And it's just, it was very hard.
Yeah, well, it is. You're still co-parenting.
Yeah.
It is hard. I'm like, she ain't 18 yet. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
And he'll always be your dad, so it's always going to be hard.
I'm like, we're going to see each other at weddings and stuff. Like, it's just, I try to just keep things, because then I feel like the more conversations, there's probably going to be more fights, the more conversations we have. So I'm like, I want to keep it all so minimal. And I really have from the beginning said, this is not a topic that we're going to discuss. Like, she does have, yes. I'm like, she has a relationship with her dad. She goes and sees him, you know, and that's it. And I think honestly, being to Switzerland has made people think that it's like
so
a
lucky,
wonderful,
this is so easy.
And it's not like that at all. But
you know, sometimes I mean, also I'm biased because I'm your best friend, but sometimes I'm like, okay, I feel like it's kind of confusing on your YouTube, because I've seen comments that are like, oh, you're just very blessed. I do not have the same situation. You're very blessed that your co-parenting situation is so easy. And I'm like, have you ever thought about, and she's like, no.
It's,
I think if you're listening to this podcast and you even have the most fabulous co-parenting, I cannot imagine they would not say co-parenting is fucking hard.
It's so hard.
I bet your parents, who you were just talking so beautifully about, would say co-parenting is fucking hard.
I'm sure my mom cried every single time I left. I mean, there's nothing worse than sitting there on Thanksgiving or Christmas with your family and thinking, my kid's at her dad's right now.
My kids are dead. So I'm not saying that there are massive issues with her father at all. I just mean like co-parenting is fucking hard.
It's just wild. It's wild.
And you've made it look very easy. So I want to make sure that the people listening know that shit ain't easy for you.
It's not.
That shit ain't easy for you. I have, oh no, all my fake nails have been picking off. Just fell out of this notebook. Ew. If you like watch, there's like a time lapse of me just like picking my nails off as she's talking and like putting them in the binding of this book. That is so sick. Okay. I have written down in here in the notes. It just says : no good.
Oh yes. I was like, what? Yeah, colon.
Your colon.
This colon, not semicolon.
Not semicolon. Your colon, no good.
No good. My colon is actually very not good. I was diagnosed at 17 in high school. Again.
This bitch.
Yeah, I experienced a lot of trauma before I even turned 18. I got diagnosed at 17 with ulcerative colitis. My mom actually came to me and she was like, I know what you're doing and we're going to have a talk about it. Like, what's going on? And she was like, you're going to the bathroom every single time you eat. Like, you're going immediately after you eat. And I know what's up. And I'm like, oh, Mom, no.
I'm pooping.
No, I'm pooping blood. Like,
stop. No, Mom, do you be pooping blood?
And I was like, no. Mom, it's just a stomach thing. Like, I go in there, it's not good. I just,
it's yucky. I don't want to talk about it.
You're what? And again, my mom works at a hospital. She was like, we immediately have to go get you seen.
She's like, family emergency, calls a friend.
Again,
this guy's like, my God.
Yes. And so, we went through so many tests, and I'm telling you, like, I have had a gastroenterologist since I was 17, and I'm always the youngest person in there, even right now at 30.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody in there is 80, and I'm
because you're getting colonoscopies, right?
Yes, colonoscopies once a year, maybe more.
You're crazy.
Sometimes.
My dad almost died after getting a colonoscopy.
I mean, it's so essentially it's my left side of my colon gets very inflamed, blisters.
Oh,
It's really, really awful. And it's kind of one of those invisible diseases where it's like not people. When I have a bad flare up, like I can't even go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Like you can't walk. I would be walking down a grocery store aisle and look at Annika and just be convulsing.
Because it's so much pain.
It was so much pain. You can't it really takes over your life in a way that, and you can't, because so many people have stomach issues these days too, that you're like, I can't come to work today because I'm, my stomach hurts.
Well, it's like I feel like IBS has almost become trendy. Like, I swear.
Well, it's like, and I've really just recently, I actually just posted a YouTube video of me sobbing, reading the book Super Gut, because I've had such a hatred towards my disease for so long that it's controlled so much of me. And it's changed every part of my life too. Like it's controlled so much. There was at one point in 2017 where my doctor literally looked at me in the face and was like, I'm really just thinking it's either going to be colon cancer or we're going to have to remove your colon. And he just said that to me in a room. And
because
I'm like,
didn't he tell you you're going to have to wear a...
Yeah, he's like, we're going to have to remove your colon. You're going to have a colostomy bag. And I was just like...
Explain what a colostomy bag is.
It is when you have your colon removed. It's a bag that you wear on the outside.
Of your body. That your waste goes into.
And they have to change and
you
things.
have to empty the bag of your own waste.
Yeah. And so I was like, and I'd known forever that this was a possibility with my disease. I just hoped that it would never get to that point. And he just said those two things so casually, and I had
sir, you're not talking to a 75-year-old woman. You're talking to a cute fucking 23-year-old.
C word too? Like, what is So I mean, I lost it. I went under and I came back, and when you kind of are coming off of anesthesia, you're not really still all there. My mom had to pin me down because I just knew that it was going to be bad news.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
What was it?
It was just, it was very, very, very severe flare up, and I had to go on 3 different steroids, and I had to go on injections and shots for 8 months.
I remember that. I was your friend then.
Yeah. And I mean, it just through those steroids, I gained 80 pounds. And then the next office visit I went to, he was like, we're going to have to get this weight off of you. And I was like, you did this to me.
You're like, bitch,
you did this to me. And so I dropped that doctor.
Yeah, I'm like, first of all, the bedside
literally,
manner.
I have to, I was like, Mom, I can't ever go back to that doctor again. Seriously.
That also is something I don't know, not that this is all about lessons here, but in saying that, you really have to advocate for your own sanity in doctors. Just because someone's a doctor and just because you've gone to him forever or your mom's gone to him forever. Exactly. You do not have to fucking stick with them, dude. Taylor recently switched from her, what do you call it? OBGYN, whatever. And they made it a hell of a process because they don't like you to switch. And she's like, no, I'm switching.
My doctor now, I cried the first time I met him, and I was just like, thank you for caring about what's, going on with me. And thank you for wanting to help me. Because I genuinely, at the end of that conversation with him, I knew that he wanted to make me better. And I had never felt that. And I just felt it for the first time at 28. And I've had this for 11 years at this point. So I just now finally feel like it's just so important, truly. Don't just go to a doctor that you've been to going to forever.
Yeah, if you don't feel good about it, fucking change your doctor.
If you have to drive to the next town, drive to the next town. Yeah. Like you will find a good doctor that actually does care about you.
Well, speaking of that, people are obsessed with your style, as am I, because I'm literally just like...
Thank you.
So as long as I've known Jennica, she's just been that bitch. And she has no choice but to be that bitch. And obviously, I've seen you go through all of the steroid shots and the different medicines and different changes with your body, removing basketballs from your chest. Like, there's been a lot of changes. And I've seen them all, as you've seen a ton of changes with me, right?
Totally.
Like, for sure.
Remember when I just texted her last week and I was like, hey, remember when you had long hair?
And I was like, I remember when I had long hair. I'm growing my hair out. Also, I just got a haircut before this.
Don't those bangs look incredible?
I'm like, I'm in my Rachel Green era.
I said, you wait till you get a claw clip in that.
Yeah,
a claw clip. So cute.
Look at that. I love Jennica. Just go straight to the, and then this, and then this, and then this. But as long as I've known you, like whatever, when you had basketballs on your chest, any sort of like life you have lived in a body, you have had the fucking best style of anyone, because it's always just been, it's been so cool.
Yeah.
You really are the girl. And I'm curious if you've always been this girl. You've always been the girl who does something that almost sometimes truly, I'll be like, what is she wearing?
That doesn't make sense. Yeah.
And then fucking 2 weeks later, everyone's in it.
Yeah.
Hailey Bieber, I'm like, oh my God, Jennica had that already.
Yeah.
And then I want to buy it and it's sold out.
Oh.
And you've already had it for like a week.
I got made fun of in middle school because I was the first person to tuck my jeans in my UGG boots.
Oh.
And I was like, I kept being like, all the magazines are tucking because you want to see that you've got the Uggs on.
You've got the Uggs on.
I got roasted. 2 weeks later, everyone's doing it.
You're like Regina George when they cut the fucking nipples out of the shirt, and then she's like, huh, and then everyone just like wears it. You just have had the best style. But someone asked me, they said, I've always been obsessed with Jenica's style. I'm like, me too. And they said, in a world of influencers, which we both are, like where a lot of the stuff you see online and in social media is just these teeny tiny little girls. Like, how have you decided to make your own style? And I'm like, I'll answer. She's always had good style.
I mean,
what's your response?
That wasn't my intention. I mean, I obviously when I kind of started doing this, I don't know where my weight was, honestly, whatever. There's always something that I do like on my body. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
there's always something
you're fucking hot as long
like.
as I've known you. You're hot.
And well, I mean, for anybody, there's always something. I've always known that no matter what, like my hair and my waist is always going to be cinched.
Snatched.
Like I have a good waist. So it's like I don't have to focus on like if my arms feel floppy today, whatever. You really have to take your style with what your body feels too. I feel like you're supposed to wear clothes aren't supposed to wear you.
And also when you love a trend, just because a trend is trendy, like there are trends out there that I will not do because I'm like, hell the fuck no with my body type. Like there are things that I will not do. So you do not have, you can find your own style. I think that like makes you, like you said, makes your body feel good. I know, like, I really like that you said that. Like, there's always something that you like about your body, no matter what.
I mean, today I'm like, this brings in my waist. I'm literally going to be sitting down, but I feel, there's always things that you can do to make yourself or whatever the occasion may be and cater to that occasion. Like, if you're going to a wedding and you know that your ex might be 3 rows behind you and you're self-conscious about your shoulders, wear something that covers your shoulders, wear your hair down.
So funny. I as long as I've known you, I've just always, you are just like so strikingly stunning. Like you just, it's like, it's giving Kardashian. And you just said that number. You're like, on these steroids, I gained whatever, 80 pounds. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm trying this new thing. Is it working?
We don't really get to interrupt each other though. We just both just like keep going, and we also have this like really massive brain, both of us, where we can like hear each other as we're talking over each other, and we just like it never happened. Yeah.
But I'll try to, for you plebeians out there, I'll talk slower and not interrupt. But I almost interrupt you because I'm like, no, you didn't, because I've known you this whole time, and it's so funny because I'm like, you've just always been so fucking hot. That like, not that the number matters, but it's just like, it's so interesting because I have just always thought you looked so fucking hot because you've just always dressed your body gorgeously. It
was really, truly the only thing that did keep me going, though, because I was always, like, stronger built, I guess, but I was never, like, curvier.
She's that base baby.
Like, I was never, so it was just a really, like, shock when because I didn't even see this is not going to make sense, really, but I really didn't see myself gaining the weight. Like, and it happened within 6 months. I mean, I was put on 3 steroids and I blew up in 6 months. And because it was such a short amount of time, it was such a short amount of time, Yeah, that was the wrong phrase, but it was such a short amount of time.
We can normalize feeling the way we feel and saying the things we feel. I feel like the body positivity culture like makes everything bad. And I'm like, I'm allowed to feel this way about myself.
That's what happened.
I'm allowed to say the things I want to say.
And so I feel like one day I just was like, I don't look like in pictures how I feel. Like I felt still like my normal self.
And you own these clothes, right? Like I remember when I put on weight when I first moved to Nashville, I just remember not noticing I gained weight when I looked at myself naked, but my clothes didn't fit me and I was confused.
And I was just like,
I swear I don't look different. My clothes will button. What the fuck?
Right. And so it was a process of like kind of, I really genuinely had to fall in love with myself again and really truly be like, this is what it's like. And I just don't have the endurance or the drive to like go to the gym and shed that off. I'm just not ever gonna be like, girl.
I'm fucking hot anyway.
So I'm like, I'm gonna be here for a minute. So this is my body. Fine. And guess what? You know what? I'm not in freaking high school anymore. I don't have to look like high school Jennica anymore.
No.
Do I want to be high school Jennica anymore? Absolutely not. Like I don't want to look like
I didn't know high school Jennica, but I'm like, fuck no.
No, I'm like, this is me. This is me. Like, I'm so happy that I get to be curvy and like I get to, like, of course I have things that like, even now I'm like, hide this arm, you know?
Bitch, me too. Exactly.
And
we all do.
But then also from being a different weight and hearing my friends like that were all smaller talk ways that I wasn't even talking about myself, I'm like, it doesn't matter what number is on the scale. Everybody feels the same. Like, it's just, I've got to become like so happy in my body.
And you really do that very well. Like I think that's the reason that person asked that question. They were like, her style inspires me. Like she just looks so fucking hot all the time. I just
wear what I want to wear.
Yeah. And I'm really impressed by your just like outlook, because I have self-sabotaged myself with my body image so many times before, because it's hard. It's hard to get on Instagram and fucking see these girls. Totally. And I am girl on Instagram, and even I'm look at other girls on Instagram, and I'm always like, no, we don't do that anymore, Shannon. We don't fucking do that anymore. We don't do that. You are you. You are not them. Fucking keep it moving. Sorry.
And I got to where I'm only comparing myself to myself.
Yeah.
You know, we can compare myself to Jennica 2 weeks ago or Jennica 2 weeks from now, but no, like.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Sorry, this gnat, I swear, is going to like stick right into my lip gloss. I just know it. It's so glossy. And it's just going to stick to it. All right, we're going to end with a couple things. Also, you guys are just absolutely sliving with these long episodes. I'm looking at the timer sitting in front of me right now, and we are just... I know. We're like, also I looked at it and it was like 666. I was like, oops.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. It's an angel number. Okay. So, I'll leave with two things.
Okay.
One, someone was like, have you guys ever had an issue in your friendship? How did you overcome it? Who was the first to apologize? And I laughed. I go, no. And she goes, well, and I was like, oh yeah. So Jennica is at current the only person on Very Cavallari that I have had beef with that wasn't on Very Cavallari.
Well,
well, maybe you actually kind of were on Very Cavallari.
My nose was on one episode.
Okay. Facts.
My nose was
and it was gorgeous. So Jennica, one of the reasons for sure we met was through Reagan.
Yes.
So we love Reagan. Reagan's
one of my like college best friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Reagan was obviously on the Very Cavallari show with me. She's the blonde with big tits, as she so lovingly refers to herself as. And anyways, they were best friends on the show. And in this one episode, I really do want to do like a rewatch podcast. I think that'd be really funny. And definitely we'll have Reagan on whenever we do the episode where she and I get in a fight. One of the things that was very real about that series was that episode.
Yeah, that's still like, it was all so, we all knew that it was like kind of not real until that. And then it was like, oh wait.
Yeah, there were just so many curated moments on that show. And that one was so raw. And like, I hated it because I was so good. Like, honestly, I fucking thrive in reality TV. You guys have got to get me back on television. But like, all that being said, I just felt like so in control the whole time, right? Like if they told me to be mean to Brittany, I was mean to Brittany. If they told me I needed to be bad at work to like be funny, I was bad at work. If they told me to show up late, I'd show up late. Like all these things I was doing really well and contrived. And of course I wasn't the best employee for sure. We can dive deeper on that when we talk about it. Like that wasn't all made up. I kind of did suck at my job. But all this being said, that one time I felt like I had zero control. Yeah. Because I literally had no idea Reagan was mad at me. And then she comes up to me at a party in front of a bunch of people and yells at me. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then I'm like crying, whatever. Anyways, fast forward to me not being friends with Jennica yet, but the show is airing and I had gone to brunch, or we were in a big setting.
Point only, we knew of each other, and we were acquaintances, I think, at this point.
The
but
rooftop
definitely not like
party
friends
hadn't,
yet. Yeah,
the rooftop party hadn't happened yet, where I like learned about her life and whatever. And so I'm like sitting at this brunch, or maybe we're at a bar or something. And I had just done what I would normally do, like, hey, Jennica, how are you? She's like, I'm good. I'm like, I probably complimented her outfit or something because it was probably fabulous. And I was like, I love you. She's like, thanks. I'm like, it's good to see you. She's like, what, do you remember the quote?
I think I just said, hey, don't talk to my friend like that again.
No, you don't know the quote. No, wrong. You said, it's so good to see you too. Or maybe I said something like, I just love when I see you. And you were like, I love when I see you too. But if you ever talk to my friend like that again, we're going to have some problems. And it was the most Southern, bless your heart.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, and yes, we grew up very similarly.
Yes.
I mean, our family trees are like
it's
like
wild.
Parallel. It's funny.
Yes.
Like just deep South, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, when she did that, I mean, my mother's meanest acquaintance couldn't have like tore her down like that. I was like, I'll never forget. I was like, nervously said something. I left that place. I picked up the phone. I called Taylor. I said, oh, and you listen to this. I was like, and then Jennica. I was like, and who the fuck does she think she is? I mean, I went off.
I am a ride or die. I'm a ride or die. I really am.
Loyal. I think I was actually friends with her for a full year and a half before I ever brought that up. And then like maybe
I brought it up as a joke, and you were like, no, honey. And I was like, oh.
I was like, no. And then I think it took another year for me to be like, I called Taylor immediately. I
was like, wait, what?
I was like, who does she think she is? She literally was like, if you ever talk to my friend like that again, we're gonna have some problems. And I was like, what?
Well, it was when you and Taylor, the scene of you being like making fun of Reagan. Where I was
yeah, it's my time to shine.
Yes, we don't talk about my friend like that.
Wait, I was a bitch about Reagan in that scene because she pissed me off. Okay,
well,
we'll do a recap.
Yes. But I was just funny. Like, hey, real quick.
I'll tell you, she sliced and diced my ass. So there is something I feel I'm very good at. If you ever put me in a physical altercation, there's no fucking way I could ever hold my own, right? Yeah. But I really am I could make you fucking cry with my words. Right here, this tongue, sharp as fuck.
Yeah.
And man, you really got one over on me. I was like, my God. So that just really tickles me to my core because I think I can like cut people when I want to cut them. But I had no words. I don't know what my response was, but I think I was just like,
you just laughed.
We were kidding. We were kidding. I was like, fuck.
No, and I think that a lot of times people think because of my accent.
Well, and you said it just like that too. You were like,
and my big old smile, that I'm a very kind person.
You are.
But I'm also not super nice.
Listen,
I'm kind.
You are kind. I'll tell you what you do. I think with everything you've gone through in your life, you just see you see through it. You really, there have been people, kind of brought it up in the last episode. There have been people in my life that you said, and I said, no, I swear you go, And that's all you have to do too. You don't give me explanations.
I said she gonna figure it out on herself.
You say it's like the co-parenting. You say and I go, well, okay, because and you're really good at two. I'll go because and I'll I was trying to emulate how I probably try to convince you of someone, and you're like, Shannon, and you'll give me like a sentence, and I'll be like,
yeah,
you're right,
yeah,
and you're like, yeah. So, anyways, she's our just wonderful mom. A lot of the times I'm are
everyone's mom.
A mom to me as well. And then lastly, a time where you couldn't keep up. Someone wanted to know about your birthday. Someone said your birthday, because you have said since I've known you, even when we weren't friends, and I probably wasn't even included.
18.
When I wasn't included on the guest list, you have said I will be going to Cabo for my 30th birthday.
Period. I've always known that, like, and I think that once you turn 30, you realize this too, that like 20s aren't it. I've always known, like, I'm going to be raising a baby, but like I'm going to be raising a child in my 20s.
Yeah.
I'm going to be 32 when she turns 18. So my mission is to get hot by the time I'm 32 and just have like, 8 more years left in me.
Living your life.
Live like.
Did it almost stick to my lip?
And so
this gnat is out of control. He is relentless.
He literally came and was like, should I land?
Yeah, he knows he'll get stuck.
Bitch. It's only the one too.
Sick as fuck. These are new thingies. Don't fuck it up, Nat.
Look how gorgeous.
I know. Isn't it pretty? It's gorgeous. She's a real podcaster.
Yeah. Okay.
So we go to Cabo. We had a fabulous time. It was an iconic trip, by the way.
It was wonderful.
Talk about a time I shook my ass on a yacht. Jenica's birthday in Cabo.
It was like, come on. It was like bachelorette vibes with no bride.
With no bride and like no dumb outfits, and everyone was just like
great.
So happy.
Yeah.
And your friends are so fun. Like every single person on that trip was so
different.
fun, but just like I love.
It was.
You
great.
know, sometimes you get a gang of people from all your life.
Yeah.
Your lots of your life together, and you're like, oh, that was interesting putting us all together in one room. I loved every single human there brought something different to the table, and I loved every single one of them. So anyways, someone said, how could you not keep up with her in tequila? I'm like, you guys, she has like colon issues.
I don't keep up with the tequila.
No,
I do love tequila.
I drink less tequila. You are always my girlfriend my girly pop that will do a shot with me when you can.
I do like shots because that's like, there's nothing else in it. It's not gonna, a very good tequila with like soda I can do.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm just like,
I feel you.
Yeah.
Well, cheers, water and wine, baby. I love you. You guys, please go check her out. You can find Jennica on.
You can find me on YouTube, Jennica and Annika, TikTok, Jennica Tomp, and Instagram. You better tag me.
I'll tag you. I'll tag you.
Just kidding.
At Jennica Tomp.
Yep.
It's great. I love you.
Thank you so
You're
much
so
for having
special to me, and I hope everyone else gets to see how special you are to the world as well.
I love you. And you guys, it is just as iconic being friends with Shannon as you think it would be. She's the best. And as much as she sat here and talked so wonderful about me, she has changed my life truly so much. And she is the best.
I love you.
You got a good one. You're watching a good influencer here.
I love you.
Love you.
Mwah.